Hey, good morning. I'm trying to set this camera up. It's working and not working. I'm hot, I'm sweaty. It was a good bike ride here. Word of advice, don't ever try to text and bike. It doesn't work. It's not a good idea. In Psalms 90, Moses wrote that psalm, and he's crying out to God, and he says, Lord, for you 1,000 years is as a day, and a day to 1,000 years. It says that in Peter, but he says it's passing few hours. When we cry out to God, sometimes it seems like he's not moving or things is not happening in our life, when really it's just his time is different than ours. And then it says also in Psalms 90, I think verse 8, it says that even our secret sins are exposed to you. God knows everything you've ever thought of, done, or acted upon. He knows this. Sometimes a lot of times when we don't confess these, it weighs us down. It affects those around us. It affects our jobs. It affects our relationships. It affects our family. It affects our friends. But when we confess them, he also says to give us the joy and gladness in proportion to our sin and our misery. When you were miserable and walking around and others was miserable with you, or you was making them miserable. Now he's saying if you confess this, if you give this to God, that invisible weight you always hear of being free, lifted off of you, now he restores you with joy and gladness in your heart. Now you're bringing life. You're redeeming the time, as it says in Thessalonians, to others, to life. I'm not talking about when you feel worried about things, like if you profess your love to a woman, or you're asking for forgiveness from your family, or a job and you're wanting to talk to your boss about something, or how am I going to pay for these groceries? Well, that takes trust in God. That's stepping out in faith, as long as it's done in love. I'm talking about the things you keep hidden from God that you think he doesn't see, but he does. The things you're dabbling in, you're thinking of, the things you're doing that you're hiding from others in a closet, meaning that you don't think anybody sees. That weighs you down to where you think on these things and meditate during the day. And it affects when you snap off at someone or you do this. But when you're walking with a free-flowing spirit, means you're right with God. Your channel's open to him. You've confessed. You may not get everything right, but you want to. And you're walking by faith and not by sight. Then you're redeeming the time. And he says, redeem us and put joy in us in proportion to the misery we were in. He's saying, Lord, I was in misery and bondage and I was miserable. Please fill me with a joy now that I'm right with you. Now that everything's open and bare. Help me and help me love others. I love y'all this morning. It's Psalms 90 written by Moses. Y'all please redeem the time and know he loves you. God bless.